You did not get stuck. You chose to stay. That is an important distinction because nobody was holding you there. The door was open all 5 years. You just kept looking at it and finding a reason not to walk through. Stability, familiar people, tasks you understood, health insurance that felt too scary to lose, the job market being unpredictable, now not being the right time. The reasons changed every year, but the result was always the same. You stayed, and now you are 30. You are looking at your resume, at your salary, at the person in the mirror who 5 years ago thought this was temporary. This video is not about stability being bad. It is about what happens to a person who chooses safety during the years when risk costs the least. The day you accepted the offer. You are 25 and you just got a job at a mid-size company. Stable income, straightforward tasks, decent team. HR mentions growth opportunities. You start. Salary $55,000. The work is clear. Life is predictable. Predictability at 25 feels like stability. They are not the same thing. Year 1. Everything is fine. The first year is good. You are learning how the company works, meeting people, understanding the processes. This is real growth, and it feels like forward movement. The year-end review brings a 3% raise. Salary $56,650. You are satisfied and feel like things are going according to plan. Your coworker Alex leaves his stable job for a startup around this time. His salary drops by $8,000 with no guarantees. You think it is risky, and when he asks if you want to come with him, you say no. You do not really follow what happens to Alex after that. You have your own life. Everything is fine. Year 2. The plateau. The second year is quieter. You already know how everything works. Same tasks, same people, same meetings, same calls. You perform well, but performing well at the same things is not the same as growing. Another review, another 3% raise, salary now $58,350. Something has shifted, but you cannot name exactly what. In the mornings, you drive to work and feel nothing particular. No anticipation, no anxiety. You just drive. This is what comfortable boredom feels like. It does not hurt, which is exactly why it is so easy to ignore. At some point, a position opens at another company. Interesting role, slightly more money, but you would have to go through interviews. You look at the description and think, maybe later. You are busy right now, and you close the tab. A LinkedIn study found that people who change jobs every 2 to 3 years earn on average 50% more over a decade than those who stay in one place. You do not know this. Nobody tells you in year 2. Year 3. The invisible drift. Year 3 is when something important happens that is almost impossible to see from the inside. Your skills stop growing. Not because you are a bad employee, but because you have been doing the same things long enough that they have become automatic. And automaticity is the enemy of development. The market, meanwhile, keeps moving. New tools appear, new approaches, new standards in your field. You hear about them occasionally at conferences the company sometimes pays for, but you never go deep because there is always enough current work to justify staying shallow. Another review, another 3% raise. Salary $60,100. You have been here 3 years now. Your manager knows you and trusts you. You are indispensable within your narrow context. Indispensable within a narrow context sounds like a compliment. It is actually a description of a trap. You hear about Alex through a mutual friend. His startup grew. He got promoted. He is making $78,000 now. You are making $60,100, an $18,000 gap per year that did not exist 3 years ago. What is happening to your market value? There is something companies never say out loud. The 3% raises you receive each year are not a reflection of your market value. They are an internal retention policy. The company is paying you exactly enough so you do not leave, not what you are actually worth on the open market. Market value is calculated differently. It grows when you develop new skills, take on new kinds of roles, and demonstrate results across different contexts. When you spend 5 years doing the same thing at one company, your market value grows slowly or does not grow at all. You were getting 3% year after year. Someone who left and re-entered the market was getting 8 to 10% with every transition. The math is not working in your favor. Year 4. When it becomes visible. Year 4 brings the first genuinely uncomfortable moment. The company hires someone new for a position above yours. You find out his salary the way you always find these things out, accidentally. $82,000. He has fewer years of experience than you, but he came from the outside market, and the outside market values things differently than internal policy does. You go to your manager. You say you want to discuss your compensation. The manager listens, says he values you, says the budget is tight, and offers an extra 2% on top of the standard 5% total this year. Salary $63,105. You leave feeling like you were heard, but the numbers say something else. The new person makes $82,000. You make $63,105. A gap of nearly $19,000 a year inside the same company on adjacent roles. This is called salary compression. Companies pay new hires market rate to attract them, and for years fail to bring internal employees up to the same level. You are essentially subsidizing other people's offers with your own loyalty. Year 5. The decision. Year 5 is the year most people finally move. Not because things got worse, but because it finally becomes clear that they will not get better on their own. You update your resume for the first time in 5 years and notice something uncomfortable. 5 years at one company. One role that expanded slightly. Skills that were not updated systematically. A portfolio that reflects work done entirely inside one context. You look like a reliable person. You do not look like someone who grew. You start going to interviews. The first 2 feel strange. You answer the questions, but something feels slightly off, like the language of the industry shifted a little while you were not paying attention. Terms you have not used. Tools that became standard while you were still working with the old ones. You get an offer. $72,000, $9,000 more than your current salary. But Alex at this point is receiving a new offer. $95,000. 5 years ago, you were starting from roughly the same place. A $23,000 gap per year built out of 5 years of quiet decisions. What those 5 years actually cost. Let us count honestly. You earned on average around $59,000 a year for 5 years, while Alex averaged around $72,000 factoring in his growth at the startup. The gap in total earnings over 5 years is around $65,000. But the money is actually not even the most important part here. You are entering the market with a resume that shows one company and slow, predictable growth. Alex enters with a resume showing 2 transitions, expanding responsibility, and work in a fast environment where he had to adapt constantly. The market reads these 2 resumes very differently and pays for them very differently. There is also something that does not show up in the numbers at all. 5 years in one environment gives you depth in a very narrow place, and sometimes that is valuable. But more often on a competitive job market, it is a limitation you only feel when you step outside and realize the industry moved forward while you were not watching. And your next employer sees your $63,000 and builds their offer from that number, while Alex walks in at $82,000 and the conversation starts from a completely different place. The anchor you are carrying out of 5 safe years will be with you for a long time. Why you stayed. This is not about cowardice, and it is not about laziness. It is about how human psychology works when it comes to stability. Leaving a job that is basically fine for a job that might be better looks like an enormous risk in your head, because losing what you already have feels twice as painful as gaining something new. This is called loss aversion, and Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize in economics for describing it. You were not being irrational when you stayed. You were being a completely normal human being whose brain was doing exactly what it was built to do, which is protect you from perceived risk while completely ignoring the cost of inaction. The cost of inaction is the most insidious kind of price because it never arrives as a bill. It just quietly accumulates year after year until you look back and see how far the market traveled while you were standing still. You are 30. You are leaving the company where you spent 5 years. Last day, colleagues wishing you luck. Your manager saying you can always come back. You smile, pick up your box of things, and walk to your car. On the way, you think about the 25-year-old version of yourself who kept saying, "Not yet. Not yet. I need to figure out what I want first. Not yet. I need to save a little more. Not yet. The timing is not quite right." And the strangest thing about all of it is that the moment was there every single day for 5 years. It just never looked like a moment. It looked like an ordinary Tuesday with ordinary tasks and the same lunch place as always. The safe job did not break you, and that is important to understand. You lived normally, worked normally, earned normally. The market just moved slightly faster than you did, and 5 years of that difference added up into a gap that is catchable, but will cost you time you already spent once before. And the most expensive thing you paid was not money. It was the time in the years when risk cost the least, when there was no mortgage behind you, no kids, none of the things that make risk genuinely heavy. At 25, the price of a mistake is at its lowest, because there are still 40 years of career ahead to fix whatever goes wrong. Every year you wait, that price goes up, not because you get worse, but because the room to maneuver gets smaller. The door was open all 5 years, and here is the thing, it is open right now.